Good evening, everyone. First, I'm going to ask that everybody please turn off your videos, or if they're off already, please keep them turned off throughout the presentation. My name's Asia Millette, and I'm a board member of Black Girls Link. And for those of you that don't know, Black Girls Link, also known as BGL, is a Black women-led network empowering Black women professionally and socially through sisterhood and activism. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce tonight's speaker, Miss Sonia Lewis, AKA the Student Loan Doctor, who's going to talk to us about student loans. We all probably have a strong interest in this topic because we're here. And this economic downturn caused by the coronavirus pandemic has us all a little uneasy. And we want to ensure our financial security during these times. So after Sonia's presentation, we're going to have some Q&A. During presentation, you can use the chat to ask whatever questions you have. So write down whatever questions you have. You don't have to wait until the end. And then the end, when we have the Q&A portion, I'll make sure that we ask those questions and get those answered. Ms. Lewis likes to be interactive, so please participate. If she asks a question, make sure you jump on in there. We're all friends here. We're all here to learn. We're all here to grow and glow together. So I'm going to hand it over to our speaker, Sonia, and allow her to introduce herself and tell us more about her professional background. So please join me in welcoming the student loan doctor herself, Sonia Lewis.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Asia, for having me on. And thank you to your organization for reaching out to me and offering me the opportunity to speak with your audience. So as soon as I saw the title come through, Black Girl, I said, oh yeah, we could do that. We could do that. So I was here for that. So I'm super, super excited to share some information about student loan debt. It's so weird, the word student loan and excited never really goes in the same sentence. But there is a lot of good things happening, and I want to make sure that we get into that today. So if you do not already have a pen and paper, go ahead and grab one. I promise you, you're going to wish that you had it so you can take some copious notes. And if you're anything like me, you know, if a teacher says something twice, you're like, write that down. And then hopefully the goal from today's conversation will be one that you'll leave feeling empowered, and you'll leave feeling like, you know, it's something you can definitely tackle as we come out of COVID-19 in terms of the no interest, no payments, because the pandemic is not over. And Lord knows we are waiting to hear if they're going to extend the CARES Act. But today we're going to talk like they're not going to extend it, because from what I know, as of December 31st, it is on again with payments beginning January 1st. All right. So if you are looking forward to learning how to tackle your student loan debt tonight, type yes. And this is going to be really interactive. If you follow me on Instagram, or if you have seen any of my presentations, you know I like to talk to you guys. Again, I'm only child. I can definitely talk to myself, but it's much better when we talk to each other, and it helps me understand what it is that you do need. Really quickly, just let me know where you guys are from, what city and state. I ask because every state has different rules as relates to certain entities of student loans. Overall, we're under the federal umbrella. So the information tonight is pretty general, but I do like to know where you guys are zooming in from, if you will. So we have Canada, Brooklyn, Queens, Boston, New York, Maryland. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And so there is a lot of student loan debt in those areas, particularly Boston and New York and Maryland. We see those being the top states that are disproportionately affected by student loan debt. Now, they think that's because there are a lot of colleges and private colleges in those areas. And a lot of times millennials tend to stay in those areas, and they stay with their student loan debt, of course, right? So I'm going to make sure that today is fun, interactive, and then I'm really, really, really excited for your Q&A. So if you have some questions that you're going to be thinking about, or something that comes up, please jot it down. And when we get into Q&A, I'll definitely ask for those questions at that point. All right, so if you're ready to learn about student loan debt. If you're ready to get the class that we just didn't get when we graduated from college, I know I didn't get this class, type ready. If you're ready to get started, go ahead and type ready. And again, the best thank you is to those that have put this together. Make sure you thank them for this amazing content that they've been offering in the past few sessions. I had a chance to look at the flyer and I thought it was so needed, particularly as we go into a new era with a new president, a new agenda. So we have to be financially prepared. I want to get a shirt that says, "Make my personal finances great again." Hello, somebody. So hopefully tonight, there's some information here that you can utilize to make your finances great again, particularly your student loans. All right. All right, let's get started. So who are we? Let me share this presentation with you and then let me know if you guys can see it. All righty, if you guys can see that, type yes. I want to make sure we're all in the same place here. Give me a second. Here we go. Great, great, great. Okay, awesome. All right, so we have to first back up and just kind of let you know that the student loan doctor was not started because I one day woke up and wanted to take on Sally Mae. That's not what happened. It sounds good. I would like to say that's what happened. But what had happened was ultimately I had got tired of seeing my friends and family members not have a solution to the one thing I call it the silent financial killer, student loans. And so I took a class through church to, rehab my personal finances, how I thought about money. And the one thing that kept coming up was student loan debt. And the one thing that there was like never an answer for was student loan debt. So my professional background is that I've been working in higher education for over 10 years, and I was able to help adult learners understand what it's going to cost to go to school, what it's going to look like to repay their loans. And so I kind of had to prepare people, if you will, as they were coming into college, what it's going to look like when they leave really, really soon. So I had the nuts and bolts of student loan debt. And I knew how to have a conversation with the lender on the phone, which I don't know if you guys ever had to do this. Having a conversation with the student loan lender, can that not be scary? If that has been scary for you, type yes. So I wanted to create something where I could prep people and they would be able to have a conversation, or I could have a conversation on their behalf. Now, we do a lot of work on the back end. So on social media, you'll see we talk about different topics. We have a lot of fun on IG particularly, but there's a lot of serious work that has to get done. So talking about repayment plans, helping people get out of default, consolidation, refinancing, the home buying process. Is anybody here looking to buy a home at any time soon? That's a very scary process. And if you've ever went for a pre-approval or you're going to be going for a pre-approval, please watch and listen to this presentation very closely, because there is going to be, so I call it, how do I want to put this? There's going to be a barrier, in my opinion, to home buying that's probably going to come back around really soon. Right now, the home buying market is still wide open, even if you have high student loan debt. But that can all change, because as parties change, office rules change too. So listen up closely. But I would be remiss if I did not introduce my amazing team. So Ebony helped me coordinate that. She's the young lady with the sunglasses in the photo. That's me with the red boots, of course. And then my team, not all pictured here, but they are the most amazing people I've ever had the opportunity to work with. If you need help one-on-one, I'll let you know at the end how we can help. But you would be working with one of these fine ladies. And recently we hired a gentleman. Well, not recently, he's been with us for a year. It still feels like new, but he's amazing too. I was like, I gotta hire a guy, but it has to be the right guy. So his name is Bruce. So today we're going to talk about understanding your repayment options, home buying and student loans, your credit score, student loans, public service loan forgiveness. Anybody interested in having their loans 100% forgiven? Type yes. If you are like, you know what, I'm not even in the field I'm supposed to be in. I got to work with these kids, Lord. So if anybody needs student loan forgiveness, type yes. We're going to talk about that just a bit tonight, and then what to expect post COVID-19. Now I'm going to go through the nuts and bolts. I've got about 20 minutes to do so. So I apologize if I'm speaking fast. But just definitely make sure you capture the notes that you need to hone in post this conversation. All right, statistically speaking, so according to statistics, through the Trump administration, student loan debt went up about 16%. It's at $1.7 trillion of student loan debt. So, how many people felt like when they passed that $1.3 trillion stimulus, where is the 1.7, Jesus? I was just like, is there a 1.7? Is that coming? So I know I wasn't the only one thinking that all things can be possible. As of 2020, 47 million Americans have student loan debt, about an average of $450 a month for a monthly payment. So those are huge numbers, right? And it could feel scary if you are a part of that number. I do want to talk about some basic repayment plans that stay and are permanent as of today. But when there are new administrations that are coming in, and I will say that Biden has been a part of the creation of these latest plans, some things may stay and some things may change. So let's talk about it. So when we talk about some income-based repayment plans, I want you to write these things down or take a picture of this slide. So the pay plan is at 10%. The repay plan is at 10%. Now, this is important. When I say 10%, I mean 10% of your discretionary income. So the government has a number that they figure you can contribute to your student loan debt based off of your income and pay and repay. Anyone here married? Anyone in here married officially and the IRS knows about it? Anybody here married and the IRS knows? We got to ask these questions specifically now these days. Anyone here? Okay, Catherine said yes. Congratulations, Catherine. I'm still talking about favorite colors with my guy. No, I'm joking. All right, Asia said looking. Thank you, Asia, for being honest with the looking ministry. So here's the thing. I asked because, Catherine, if you're interested in figuring out what payment plan would be best for you post-COVID, I always say if you're married, start with the IBR plan, income-based repayment. Now, this is important because when you are married, they will consider your income, your husband's income, or your wife's income, and they'll take that in consideration. And sometimes it is good or bad when it's looking at how much you can afford for a student loan payment. Now, if you are married, but you do married file jointly, married file separate, or let's say you're married, but you don't file taxes together, the government doesn't know you're married in terms of your taxes, you may want to look at what's called the repay plan. If you're graduating school soon or have recently graduated, you can look at the pay plan. The numbers will be about the same between the two. Does anyone in here have a Parent Plus loan, or do they have a parent that has a Parent Plus loan? Anyone have a Parent Plus loan? Or maybe their parent took one of those out? If so, you would need to look at the ICR plan. And I put that in parentheses for you. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because these plans tie to the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, which we're going to talk about in a second. But you do have to be in one of the 4 plans: pay, repay, IBR, ICR. It's the number one reason why people get denied for being in one of those plans. Now, the Biden administration is looking at they proposed a 5% repayment plan. That is amazing. So, and the next slide, when I give you some numbers, you're going to really see what I'm talking about. Let's get into it. So, do you guys see here in black and bold? Now, let's say you made about $40,000 that year and you borrowed $70,000. You take care of yourself and one other person. Now, looking at this chart, does everyone see where it says standard? FM means first month, $456. Does everyone see that? Now, do you see where it says repay, $133? Which one type, guys, which number would you rather pay? 133 or 456? 133. We want to be the 133. Now, anybody here going to look for a home soon? Where are my home buyers at? Type me if you're looking to buy a home really soon. So home buyers, if you owe over, I say 50,000, it's going to be so important that you work on your credit, because the name of the game is having a high credit score so that you can get approved for a conventional loan. All right. I'm going to talk about the difference between FHA and conventional as it relates to student loan debt really soon. Now, if you're going for an FHA home loan, or you're trying to buy a home before putting your loans into repayment during COVID times, they would say that you had a payment estimated at $700 a month. Oh my, right? That would be where you put up the shocked emoji if we had one on here. So what would be better, guys, to pay? $133 or $700 a month? What do you think would be better to pay? All right, only Asians getting home. I see Ayoka. Thank you, Tiffany. All right, 133. So this is crucial that you guys understand this before you go for a pre-approval. Now, does anybody know what you think that magic credit score number should be if you're going to go a conventional loan route? Anybody know what they think that magic score should be? So Tiffany's closest to the money between a 700 and a 720. A 700 and 720. Right now we're in the middle of our Savage Challenge ebook. And for me, Savage means Savage Credit, 720 or higher. That's the name of the game, guys. If you're going to go for a conventional loan, I'm going to show you what that means in a second. Now, anyone here, if you care to share, but if not, I'm just going to ask, if you ever have experienced the default process, you know it is no fun. Your credit will tank severely, 40 to 80 points. So right now, you've been given a special gift. It's called the CARES Act due to COVID-19. It has reset your loans. So your loans are brand new, spanking new. They look like they've never had an issue, right? And this is crucial because if you leave this process and go back into default, child, that's on you. So you got to figure out how to make this plan most affordable as possible. Maybe some things change with your wages because of COVID, whatever that looks like. If you need to have a conversation with us so that you can get into an affordable plan come January 1st. Also, do not skip your renewals. If you skipped your renewal during this time because of COVID, go ahead and renew, because January 1st, they will be looking for their payment. But if you ever go into default, which means you're 270 days late, the entire unpaid balance is due. You'll lose eligibility for additional loans. Your default will be reported to the credit bureaus. Your tax refunds and federal benefit payments will be withheld. Your wages could be garnished. It's so many things they could do and will do if you default on your loans. But again, the best time to get out of default is now. And if you need our help, I'll definitely give our information at the end. I know Ebony is on here. We can always give you our free discovery call link if you do need our help. Have a conversation with one of the coaches. See what you need to do to get your loans on track. You have 3 options to come out of default. I just want to cover this quickly: rehabilitation, consolidation, or payment in full. And rehab is when you have 9 successful payments out of 10. Again, nothing past 20 days of the due date. That if you set up an agreement for $5 a month, I know this sounds weird, but can you check and make sure they take that $5 a month out of your account? You'd be surprised how many people set it up, forget about it, and they're hoping you do that, and then they never take the $5 a month out of your account. Next up, I'm going to let you know the consolidation piece is a quick way to get out of default. During COVID, it's been pretty successful for a lot of people, but the challenge with that is it leaves a stain, I call it. Those defaulted remarks are left on your report. So whenever you can do rehabilitation, if you're not in a rush for anything in particular, I say do rehabilitation versus consolidation so that you can get those negative marks removed. All right, now I know this is a lot of information. If you're still here or you're still tracking with me, type "I'm here." I know when we get into this part, people are like, "Oh Lord." So I just want to make sure you guys are still there. All right, home buying, my favorite topic, because I want to see everyone here buy a home. I was really, really fortunate because I really do live what I talk. You're looking at a girl that used to be an overdraft queen. Does anybody know what that means? Type yes if you know what an overdraft queen is. Okay, hello. And I used to have really bad credit. I'm talking about the 500 club. Nobody was in the 700 club back in the day. And when I say back in the day, it wasn't that long ago. Let me be real. It was like 5 years ago. But I had to have an epiphany. And I'm just going to be really, really honest, because you guys are really, really packed full of potential with promise. But God can't use any of that potential promise if you are not a good steward of your money. Anybody understand that? So this is why these conversations with your student loans and your credit is super important, so that you can really fulfill whatever it is that God told you to do. So if you're a lawyer, a doctor, matter of fact, tell me what you guys are in the chat. I don't even know what your dream profession is or what you're going to be, but I know that on the other side of it, you may want to own a home. On the other side of it, you may want to own some real estate investment properties. You may want to own some stock. You may want to have some good credit so that when you show up, I mean, this seat is prepared for you. You don't have to jump through a bunch of hoops. All right. So I'm excited for you guys in advance that if good credit and student loans that are manageable or paid off in full or forgiven is on your list of things to do, I believe that you can definitely accomplish it. So we've got some lawyers, some school counselors, a TA educator, or forensic sciences. Yes, Brianna. All right. So all of those things sound like loan forgiveness. We'll talk about that in a second. I do believe you should get that all forgiven. Now, in terms of buying a home, here's what I realized. Laws have changed. Now, I don't know if y'all saw this on Love and Hip Hop. You didn't. But student loan debt disproportionately affects African American women. Did you guys know that? And so you are the number one group of people. When I say you, I'm including myself in that statement. The number one people to go to school and get the most degrees, but also the number one group of people to have the most student loan debt. So they didn't tell us that when they were talking about Love and Hip Hop, right? So here's what I'm going to tell you. Being that is the case, there are laws that disproportionately affect you becoming a home buyer. So FHA is a wonderful program, but FHA may not be your friend if you have six-figure student loan debt because they're going to want to count 1% of what you owe. Now, a conventional loan through Freddie Mac or our cousin, Fannie Mae, get it? Sallie Mae, Fannie Mae? Okay, cool. Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae have what's called conventional loans. And again, we don't know how much longer these programs are going to be around. So that's why you got to get your money saved up. You got to get your credit in order. I would say within this year so that you can take advantage of the things that they're offering. So if you are in an income-driven repayment plan, they can use that number. Let's go back to that original slide where we talked about a payment being $133 versus $700 a month. That's where that 133 would come in. They can use that when they look at your debt to income ratio. Everyone type DTI. You're going to start to hear that term more as you're home buying, as you are looking for an investment property. Your understanding your DTI is so crucial. All right. So again, think high credit score, low student loan payment so that you can get approved for your home loan. So when we talk about credit, anybody here working on their credit or needs to work on their credit, type yes. Don't be ashamed. Be ashamed that the score is low, not that you're trying. So I don't know if, don't be following. I tell people all the time, don't be following my page more than a few months and you still got bad credit. Because there are too many things and resources and conversations that we're having around improving your credit at the core basic level, things that you can do on your own. So when I saw that the young lady said here that she's a lawyer, or she said the other young lady said she's a forensic scientist, you are very intelligent. We take that same applied intelligence and we write those dispute letters. But you know the number one reason why people get held up on these student loans and their credit score, and I apologize in advance if you have an 800 credit score, but it's because it's emotional. You're emotional about your money. But how many people know you got to put your business, I call them your business panties, but your business briefs for this session on, meaning you've got to get unemotional about your money. And so when you're looking at your student loans and you're looking at your credit score, you got to say, well, what do I need to get done? What do I need to do? The same way you're going to attack that situation in court, or you're going to figure out that case, is the same way you're going to figure out your numbers. Does anybody agree with that? So looking at this credit score, 35% payment history, 30% amounts owed, 10% new credit, types of credit 10%, and credit history 15%. All right. So the number one reason why people get held up with their credit as it relates to their student loans is because of payment history, ignoring that a payment is due. We don't want to do that anymore, right? So we want to acknowledge that a payment is due and we want to be able to afford the payment so we can stay in good standing. Amounts owed, 30%. Well, that comes down to how much your total debts come to. Student loans show up on your credit as what's called an installment loan. So it's not like a credit card where there's a revolving number and there's an expectancy of a payment, no payments paid off. A loan stays on your report and it reports positively if you're making your payments on time until the loan is paid off. When it's paid off, there's nothing else to report. and then that can drop your credit. So it's only helping and benefiting your score until it drops off. All right, does that make sense for you guys? If it makes sense, type yes. I want to make sure we're all on the same page here. So this is really, really crucial, right? I want to give you a scenario. So a payment history, again, can count for 35% of your FICO score. To me, it had a 680. If she misses one student loan payment, 60 to 80 points, 60, 80 points away for one 30-day delinquency. Stacy has a 780. One missed payment, 90 to 110 points. 90 to 110 points. Not good. Not good. Now, if Susan had a credit score of a 550, how many points do you think she would lose if she missed one payment? Catherine said that's evil. How many points? 20 to 30 points. Oh my, maybe 10. Right. Thank you, Asia. It'd be like 10 points, y'all. And you know why? Because FICO says we are so used to Susan missing points, missing payments. It's just going to be 10, maybe 5. But the more your credit score is, the higher it is, the biggest blow could be to miss a payment. And anybody that has good credit will tell you, I mean, you would like cry if you miss a payment. You want to get on the phone with them and say, I don't know what happened. My liver failed. I don't know. Try to make up something. You want to get your points back. So I'm just stressing this to you. As your FICO score goes up, this is going to be super, super important to make sure that you stay on top of your student loan payments. All right. Now, I want to transition to talk about forgiveness. If you guys do follow me, I don't know if you follow me already on Instagram, but you can, the Student Loan Doctor, please do follow me tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to talk more about specifically what is happening with Joe Biden. I'm going to break it all down there. I'm looking at my time now, but I want to talk about the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, which will be, I would say, in addition to what Biden is proposing. From my knowledge, you're going to be able to receive both. So this is a great time to be aware and alert of your finances. So the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, number one, everything highlighted in red is super important. It's like this run-on sentence that means a whole lot. You have to have your loans in the direct loans program. Number one, go ahead and type direct loans. So it has to be in the direct loans program. This is important. So if you have FFEL or Stafford loans, depending on when you graduated from school, you probably have direct loans. To verify this, you can visit student loans, excuse me, that's your website, studentaid.gov. Let me type that, studentaid.gov. Create an account. You want to make sure you have direct loans. Number two, 120 qualifying monthly payments. Number two, 120 qualifying monthly payments. I'm going to talk about on the next slide what a qualifying monthly payment exactly is. No, you cannot make 2 or 3 payments in 1 month. It's one payment per month. So essentially, that's where you hear 10 years, 12 months, 120. So essentially 10 years of payment. But again, this can be stopped, restarted, and they don't penalize you for that. Number three, a qualifying repayment plan. A qualifying repayment plan. So we talked about that before. Pay, repay, IBR, ICR. It has to be one of the 4. Number 4, working full-time. Make a note that full-time here, guys, is not 40 hours. Full-time, according to the government, is 30 hours or more. 30 hours or more. And lastly, a qualifying employer. So you're working for a nonprofit or not-for-profit. Anyone here work for a nonprofit or not-for-profit just yet? All right, great, great, great. So that will allow you to be under a qualifying employer. Now, anyone here thinking about starting their own nonprofit, type me if you're thinking about starting your own nonprofit. So that's a great way. If you're able to run a payroll through your own nonprofit, you can be your qualifying employer for yourselves. This is a great time to understand student loan debt because you have the power to enroll yourself and get yourself set up for public service loan forgiveness. And again, a qualifying payment, guys, is anything after 2007 in the right plan, no more than 15 days after the due date, employed full-time by a qualified employer. And again, the 120 payments do not need to be consecutive, all right? And I just want to touch on COVID before we go into Q&A. And I appreciate your time and attention this evening. This is a lot of information to put into one session, but I think we're doing pretty good. So, as of COVID, as of March 13th, COVID-19 updates go as the following. There's a zero interest, zero payment due. If you are already enrolled in the PSLF program, or if you're going to get yourself enrolled, I'll give you some information about what we're doing with my ebook to help people get enrolled. Guys, did you know you could get backdated payments for PSLF applied to your account? So the government said from March to the end of December, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. 10 months. 10 months of your PSLF payments will be applied. How awesome is that? So you didn't have to make a payment, but 10 months can count towards your 120 if you've been working for a qualified employer. But even if you weren't in repayment because of COVID-19, you can definitely get that back applied. So we've been teaching that through our student loan ebook that I had just released this summer. And I literally was excited because I've been tagged to so many posts that said, girl, I got my payments back applied. I didn't even know I was eligible for this program. I'll talk about that in a second. But what I want you guys to understand is that if your payment has been affected or your payment has changed and been lowered because of COVID-19, you need to go to studentaid.gov. You're not going to work with one of our team members. You can do it yourself. Studentaid.gov. And you need to apply. You need to apply for a change in your income-driven repayment plan. This is crucial so that they can take in consideration what it is that you're now making and what it is that you can now afford to pay. And I do believe, I was just saying this, and I'll talk more about this tonight at 9 o'clock, that this is going to be 2021. It's going to be a great year for those with student loan debt. I literally, you can't see it, guys, but I have a shirt on that says, this is my year. This is my year, and next year is going to be my year too. Why? Because the things that have been put into place or will be put into place or in office as it relates to student loan debt is going to be phenomenal. So right now we have Biden president-elect. He's saying, listen, I want to make sure that I pass a $50,000 forgiveness plan on top of what's out there just for volunteering and doing community service. And we're waiting for all the rules to come out, but he's even considering allowing a backdating of community service. How many people here are affiliated with an organization, a sorority? I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, so Lord knows I will be calling my local chapter, or if not going through my own nonprofit and getting things set up, because that's going to be an easy win for a lot of you. So if you have, I always say, if you have time, then you can definitely receive some treasure for it. Are you volunteering at your church? Are you volunteering with an organization? Are you volunteering within a nonprofit, a local community organization, or national? And in that time, every year that you're volunteering is going to be a $10,000 payment towards your loans. How many people can make some time for a $10,000 payment? Anybody? Yes, no, maybe so, right? So make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at the Student Loan Doctor. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. We're most active on IG, to be quite honest with you. We do have a podcast on iTunes, and our website is here, drpleasehelpme.com, drpleasehelpme.com. So if you need a free discovery call where you want to see how we can help you, it's a 15-minute call. Coaches are trained to ask you the most important questions to see how we can help. Is it that you may be eligible for the loan forgiveness? Would you like to see what a lower payment could look like post-COVID? Whatever it is you need to do, I'm in default. I don't want to be in default post-COVID. Whatever it is you need to do, you have that 15-minute window to tell us, and then we'll let you know how we can help. So I really wanted to stress that to you guys. And the last thing is, I'm going to stop this share. I'm going to give you is our link to our ebook. So what you've seen a lot or will see a lot on Instagram is that we have a phenomenal ebook that I created, and it's been helping a lot of people. I would say maybe over 10 people have come to me and said, as a result of the ebook, their student loans have been 100% forgiven. So a lot of people have gotten their loans enrolled in forgiveness, but there are some people that have got 100% forgiveness due to different programs, or if they had a disability they didn't know qualifies. A young lady had lupus, she qualified for 100% forgiveness. A young lady battles on and off with a form of cancer. Sometimes she can work, sometimes she can't. $170,000 forgiven. Another young lady, $108,000 forgiven. Just last week, $38,000 forgiven. So there may be some things that you are silently suffering with that could qualify you. The next class that I'm teaching on loan forgiveness, all about it, how to apply, is included with the ebook. That's going to be on November 30th at 9 p.m. Eastern. Your enrollment into the book purchase gets you to all the classes that we have coming up surrounding the loan forgiveness programs, and whatever Biden is going to be announcing. We're going to do a master class for that as well, so that people can get enrolled. So I wanted to thank you guys. We're going to now transition to Q&A. I know, Asia, I'm going to bring it back over to you. And I really, really want to know, what questions do you guys have? Please don't be shy. There's no dumb question, but the one unasked. So let's ask questions, and then let's see if we can get you some good answers.
Oh, and they're coming right away. All right, so we'll go to the chat first. First question, do public schools count as a qualified employer for the loan forgiveness?
Yes, most public schools do count. I haven't met one that doesn't, someone that attends a school that doesn't. I would say, I believe the term is, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's a Title I school. So as long as the school is a Title I school, they would be eligible to apply for the PSLF program.
Okay, so what about if your profession is not in public service, but you start a nonprofit? Can you then qualify for loan forgiveness?
Absolutely. So Stacy, that's what I'm teaching within our series, is particularly with the ebook. There's a class, it's a 30-minute class on how to start a nonprofit included with the purchase of the ebook, because I've been saying to a lot of people, maybe your 9 to 5 is this, but your gift is this. And if you had time to start your own nonprofit for a cause that you would like to champion, you do have to make sure ultimately you have some money coming through it, because you got to get on that nonprofit's payroll. You can definitely get your loans forgiven.
Okay, so just right back to the schools really quickly. What about charter schools or private schools?
So it just depends. I know for most teachers, they are eligible, but again, it depends on if a charter or private school is set up as a not-for-profit or nonprofit. And again, it just depends on too, if I know like a lot of charter schools here are eligible for Title I funding. So it goes back to that as well. And to verify that, you can always go on to the studentaid.gov website and see if your school is listed.
Okay. Someone asked, on average for graduate students, how many months do you think it typically takes payers to pay off loans, if you know?
Well, it just depends. Graduate student loan debt is usually a lot. So you're going to be seeing a repayment plan of anywhere between 10 and 20 years. It depends on how much you borrow, and it depends on how much extra maybe you want to put towards it. If you're riding the PSLF plan, that's 10 years. If you do not qualify for PSLF because of your employment or you make too much, then we're looking at a 20-year repayment. So it just really depends on, everyone's situation is different. There's no typical amount of time.
Do you know if the loans are forgiven, do they count as income on your taxes once
So,
your loans are forgiven?
so currently, right now, this administration, the answer would be no. And I'm going to say with this administration, because every administration debates if they're going to change that or not. And so right now, the answer would be no. You'll see when it's election time, you'll see candidates specifically answer that. And I believe the answer is still going to be no under Biden as well.
So we have a lot of people who have both government and private loans.
Mhm.
So Do you have any tips on how to manage and lower your payment with a private loan? Do any of these programs, is there any repayment relief available for private loan borrowers?
Yeah, I'm going to drop the link to my private loan ebook that may be helpful for some people. The challenge with private loan debt, and there's no one size fits all. With private loan debt, it's going to really go by your credit. And so if you're in a position to where once maybe you buy a home, or maybe you have some assets under your belt and a good amount of income and a good score, I recommend that you refinance your loans. And if you have to refinance with your co-signer, because you may still have one, I say refinance with like a Wells Fargo or Citizens Bank that has a program clause that says, listen, if you make on-time payments for 1 year, your co-signer can be dropped off. But there are so many great programs now that will allow you to refinance those private loans. I don't recommend you take federal loans to private loans because you see all the stuff coming through with this administration that's coming into the office and the things that are going to happen with forgiveness. You can't take advantage of that if you have private loans. So that's why I don't recommend you take those over. But this is a great time. Rates are super low to refinance. And then there's some other tips and tricks I put into this book. But the main thing, guys, is, and it depends on your state. You do need to know what state you live in. It's a very litigious state as it relates to private loan debt. So, for example, like in Pennsylvania and Texas, you can't be sued over it. It can jack up your credit and it can fall off. You can get it off in terms of collections. But in certain states like Georgia and Florida, they can try to go after your income. So you're going to have to keep your expenses low if your private loan debt is high. That's the number one debt you want to tackle. An extra job needed, if needed, or extra hustle to get rid of that debt is crucial, because sometimes if that defaults, they do try to go after your income in terms of garnishment.
I know some companies claim to refinance their loans like Sophie or Earnest. I know you mentioned one now, but is there any particular ones you recommend?
I like Citizens Bank the most. SoFi would not be bad either. Wells Fargo is pretty good. They just, because of COVID, have been or have not been accepting new clients. But I would say my favorite out of all of them is Citizens Bank because the verbiage and the plan for refinancing and dropping a cosigner has been really, really clear. And on average, I've seen a lot of people get approved for that, particularly if they own a home or some type of asset and they've had over a 700 credit score. Oh, and if you're buying a home, there's a clause through the Sallie Mae program, not Sallie Mae, excuse me, Fannie Mae program that will allow you, let's say they give you a home approval for 250,000, but you bought a home that was 110,000. Well, that difference you can use to pay off your private student loan debt, and you can bundle that into a home. So that's new as well.
Can you take your private loans federal?
No, I wish that is not possible. If anything changes, the moment it does, I'd let you know. But nope, it's private with private and federal with federal.
Do you think it's a good idea to get a private consolidation loan?
No, only if you're going to refinance an existing private loan, but I don't recommend taking private to federal. Again, with all of the things that are going to be happening as it relates to loan forgiveness in this administration, I literally had someone that was super sick to their stomach. They missed out on the CARES Act because right before COVID, she had just took her federal loans to private and she had to still pay throughout COVID. There was no relief for those with private loan debt for the most part. And she was so sick to her stomach because she missed out on not having a payment because she took her loans private. So I just don't recommend it. Even if you have good credit and you know what to do, you don't want to be skipped or missed out on any programs.
So if you do have both federal and private loans, like a lot of our audience does, which one would you suggest paying off first?
Definitely think you should pay off your private loans first. A lot of times, this is going to be the number one thing that hinders your credit. And depending on the state, they'll try to sue you for it. Where federal loans, you can be a little bit more flexible with, and you can, doctor, fix the numbers if you need to help with affordable repayment. But with private loans, it's so aggressive that they just really don't care. So I would definitely pay off the private loans first.
Okay. Just going back to the public service loan forgiveness, does the income-driven repayment plan count towards it?
Yep. So that goes back to when I put on the slide that said your plans had to be in a qualifying repayment plan. it has to be in an income-driven plan in order to be eligible for loan forgiveness. So pay, repay, IBR, and ICR, one of the four to qualify for loan forgiveness.
Can you think of any other programs, whether federal or private, to help pay down student loans that's other than the public service? Because let's face it, not everyone's in public service.
So if you're a teacher, there's the teacher loan forgiveness grant, and I have that all listed in my ebook. I went through maybe like 20 or 30 of them. I'm going to give you the top ones off the top of my head. The teacher loan forgiveness is great, but if you're going to be a teacher for a while, like that's your profession, I recommend that you just do public service and not teacher, so that you don't have to extend your amount of time for forgiveness. The nursing loan forgiveness program through the HRSA program is a great one as well. I definitely recommend, if you are a nurse, to look in to see if you qualify for that program. That application opens up in January and it's open for only 30 days. So you want to prepare for it now. All right. There are different statewide programs in terms of forgiveness that I listed out throughout that ebook that you want to take and look into consideration. And then the other thing is, guys, just Google. So literally when I was creating this ebook, I put things like Pennsylvania loan forgiveness, or you may want to put, like someone said, a teacher assistance loan forgiveness. So there may or may not exist. The only thing is, I just would tell you to be careful. You don't need to pay $500 to get something forgiven. You know, you want to be careful for scams, because a lot of times there are a lot of scams out there. So just be careful. But the universal program overall, as it relates to forgiveness, is the PSLF program. So whether you're eligible through employment or you need to create your own opportunity, maybe you work for a nonprofit, if you are helping a friend start theirs, put yourself on payroll if you need to, or get yourself on payroll, create income to come in, or if you're creating your own. But this is a great time that if you have it in your heart to serve, it would be a great time to definitely take advantage of the PSLF program.
Now, can you just, along those lines, can you work for more than one nonprofit to create the hours necessary for the full time?
Yeah, so that's the touchy thing. I do believe it has to be with one employer for 30 hours. I've gotten that question a lot, and I just don't see anywhere on the form where you can indicate more than one employer. So I'm going to be safe and say no, you will want it to be with one employer for 30 hours or more.
Okay. And Tiffany asked, anything for teachers, assistants, or paraprofessionals?
Besides, I would say the PSLF program, I'm not well versed off the top of my head if there's anything for teacher, assistant, paraprofessional, right off the top of my head, because a lot of times when there are specific programs like the teacher grant, they have the specifics in what you need to know to qualify. And to review that information, you just want to go to studentaid.gov and you want to type in teacher loan forgiveness, or you can type in paraprofessional or teacher assistant forgiveness. But again, I do recommend a Google search, because what also you want to consider is sometimes, guys, maybe there's not a form of forgiveness, but maybe there's a grant or a post-college scholarship that's becoming really, really popular, and more jobs are even giving out money towards student loan repayment and grants and scholarships. So that may be something you want to take a look at.
We have another good question. Does having a second part-time job besides a full-time job at a nonprofit negatively affect or hinder your loan forgiveness?
No, if anything, Catherine, it's going to raise your income. So remember, when you're looking at going into the PSLF program, they do consider your income. And so you want to make sure that this happens for a lot of people. What you make is definitely something you can afford in the pay, repay, IBR or ICR plan. So for example, there are some people that don't roll into this program because they do work for a nonprofit, but they make six figures and their income is too high. Their payment in a graduated plan could be $400 a month versus their payment in a IDR plan could be $700. But the $700 would allow them to roll into the program. So you just have to decide, you know, what would be best for you and your income.
Do we have any other questions?
Yes, great questions, everyone. And again, if they can, definitely follow me on Instagram tonight at 9 o'clock. After this, I'm going to take a deep breath, eat a little dinner, come back on at 9 on Instagram, and I'll talk about what's going on with Biden. And really, guys, I think when I'm reading and when I'm learning about the Biden program, is that this is going to probably be the one that is going to be easiest to obtain. We don't have to switch employers or start a nonprofit, that one is going to be based on national or local community service. So I think that's going to be exciting to see how those details are revealed. I was also reading he just is looking to just drop 10,000 on the American people that have student loan debt. So I'm excited to hear about that too. And again, 10,000 may not be a lot for what you have, but anything helps towards your debt to income ratio, we will take it. We are not ashamed to take a $10,000 thank you to your loans. Again, this is just overall helping you get to your financial goals.
I would say I do absolutely recommend that you follow Sonia on Instagram. That's how I found out about her. I've been following her for a while now. She's always dropping gems. As you can see, she's very knowledgeable about everything. She's given us so much today in this short period of time. So we just want to thank you so much. Let me just ask real quick, are there any more questions?
Going once, going twice. And Asia, thank you. Thank you to the Black Girls Link organization for having me. And the best compliment, whether this is something you can use, ebook, class, whatever, but just telling people about us really does help. You don't have to be, weird about it. Just say, did you know on Instagram there's somebody talking about, and you would be surprised that people would be really relieved to find someone that looks like them, that understands what's happening with student loans, that can speak to it from, I don't know if I make this fun or not, but you don't fall asleep listening and learning about this. And guys, most importantly, thank you for tuning in and being a part tonight, because you being here ultimately should change the narrative for your children and your children's children. And hopefully by the time we get to your great grandchildren, if you do things right and you follow this organization and myself and others alike, student loans will be a cuss word in your home. That's what's going to be in my home, so they're going to have to say the abbreviation when they talk about what I've done in terms of work. Like, what did you just cuss? No. So we want to make it such a thing that student loan debt is just obsolete for our household. So hopefully this was good for you. Thank you, Asia, for moderating. You're awesome.
No problem. Thank you for being here with us. And to everybody, there's going to be an evaluation form that's emailed to you tomorrow. Of course, our speakers always like feedback. So, she's amazing, but I'm sure she would still love your feedback. And filling out the form, it just helps us improve all of our future events. So we want to do things for you. We want to make sure that we're all winning and glowing and coming up and bringing others up. So to stay up to date on what Black Girls Link has planned for future, subscribe and join our network. You can visit our website at blackgirlslink.com. And if you haven't done so already, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, Black Girls Link. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Oh, Sonia, they're asking for a link to the ebook one more time. We're going to put that in the chat. Make sure everybody has access to this information. And don't forget to follow Black Girls Link, the Student Loan Doctor, and we will see you guys next time. Please fill out the evaluation. It's not about me, it's about Ms. Lewis.
Thank you. Have a great evening, and hopefully I'll see you guys online at 9 o'clock, and we'll talk about everything Biden's proposing. We got to hold him accountable, so I'm excited. Talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.